Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for the first episode of Small Town Johnstown. The first episode is going to be on a brief history of Johnstown.
I'm your host, Nick.
And I am Jenny.
Okay, so we're going to go back way before Johnstown was even a town, even anything, to the Native American history that they don't claim but definitely existed.
So in the 1700s, according to James Broada's article, the first residents of Johnstown, the Shawnees and Delaware Lenape Indians, were here, and they did have good relations with the white people of Johnstown for 40 plus years, but eventually they did end up leaving. And that's when Joseph Johns, also known as Joseph Shantz, came in, and he was a Swiss Mennonite who then founded the town in the 1800s. So when Joseph Johns came to the town, he decided he would name it after himself instead of Conemaugh, which was the old Indian name for it.
Okay.
And that was in 1834.
Did you know that Johnstown was first considered a German town?
Because there were Germans who came
There was a lot of Germans who came here. It was going for a German ethnic town. Jewish people eventually came and settled in the 1850s because of punishment with Germany. It's just surprising. I only thought Jewish people ran because of the Holocaust. I didn't know there was something that they did before that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the Irish, German, the Welsh developed a lot of social clubs here. First social clubs in Johnstown.
And we still see that in Bottle Works today. They have different ethnic activities and cultural events over there.
Bottle Works?
Yeah. It's in Cambria City.
I've never been to Bottle Works.
We'll talk about that in a later episode.
I am not from this town. She is, so she knows more than me.
I like to think so. And before we move on from the Indians, the Johns Family Research Group debate whether or not the Indians were actually here in Johnstown. Some people like to say that they were never here at all, and I just think that that would be kind of an ignorant take on that.
A very ignorant take. You got to own up to your...
Because who else would have been here?
The deer.
I guess so.
Bambi. A little thumper.
So you're ready to move into the 1800s now?
Yes, I'm ready to move into the 1800s now.
So now that Conemaugh is now Johnstown, Cambria Steel became a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was founded in 1852, and that kind of worked alongside the coal industry, and that didn't peak until the 1900s. But that brought in a lot of jobs with the population of 67,000.
It also brought in a lot of Eastern and Southern European immigrants. And sadly, they also face discrimination, being called names I do not want to get canceled for. So, still a lot of somewhat dark history here in Johnstown.
Yeah, there was always a significant...
Always a curse.
Always a curse. A cultural disagreements, cultural evolution, I guess you could say. It's always been changing with the types of people that were here. And as far as the steel industry goes, it was renamed Cambria Steel to whatever kind of steel. They renamed it a bunch of times. Today, it's known as Bethlehem Steel, but the Johnstown plants closed in 1992. And that's all from the Johnstown Area Heritage Association.
Before we move on from this deal, I remember in class, I was learning about Noam Chomsky, and he covered the big steel strike that happened in Johnstown in 1919. So I went on history.com and found out that 365,000 mill workers went on strike. But the strike partly failed because of World War I. The Bolsheviks took over Russia and made the country into a socialist, which put fear into Americans and did not want to support riots and socialist propaganda. Frederick D. Roosevelt invented the War Labor Board, 12 members. 4 representatives from the industry and labor and public. This board was created to settle the strikes in the war industries, promising the workers improved working conditions and environment, and recognize unions. This is the first time ever that the government recognized labor unions in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
So if it wasn't for Johnstown, we wouldn't have labor unions, probably.
Yes. Continuing with steel, the railroads and the rail trains are very big in Johnstown. We see them all over here. Railroads helped Johnstown become more wealthy. Charles Dickinson, I think he's an old writer. All right, how about racism? We can get into that since they covered it previously a couple minutes ago with the racism of the Germans, the Irish, and the Southern Eastern Europeaners, my bad, and the racism with Native Americans, whether or not they left peacefully, whether or not they actually existed. But definitely sounds like a little bit of racism to me here in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so that didn't change much because in the 1920s, the mayor at the time, funny enough, his name was also Joseph Caulfield, I believe is how you say it. He ordered the expulsion of all African Americans and Mexicans in Johnstown who had lived in Johnstown for less than 7 years. The edict was in response to a deadly shootout between Robert Young, a black man, and Johnstown police officers. The African Americans had then settled in Rosedale during the Great Migration, and although this expulsion was without legal force, some 500 African Americans fled the city. The KKK then burned 12 crosses outside Johnstown in an attempt to intimidate Rosedale's population. Pennsylvania Governor Gifford Pinchot intervened to prevent Caulfield from enforcing the edict. And that was from Banished from Johnstown, Racist Backlash in Pennsylvania by Cody McDevitt. So there's definitely even more prominent racism in the 1920s. The mayor basically just told everyone that they had to leave.
This pretty much became like a sundown town.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't call it Pennsyltucky for no reason.
Yeah.
I surprised. This has really surprised me when I found out that information of that, when they even have a plat on it where it happened at
Hingston Run.
Yeah, there's a big old plat there.
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people know about that, and that's definitely something that wasn't taught to me when I was in school. Not that they're teaching Johnstown history, but you'd think...
Well, they teach the flood.
They do teach the flood. The Flood Museum was one of our field trips, and, everyone sees it anytime they come downtown, but everyone knows about the Johnstown flood, but nobody knows about the 1920s...
Banishment Act.
The banishment of African Americans and Mexicans. Why aren't we learning about that?
Yeah, we gotta learn to get with the bad, don't we?
Not that the flood was good either, but we pick and choose which kind of history we
well,
want
the
to
flood,
teach.
They can be like, woe is me, all our tragedy of Johnstown, and look how we rebelled. This is just like, we're not good people.
Yeah, they're definitely very much ashamed of this to not go ahead and teach it, for it to not be common knowledge.
21st century.
So moving on past the 1900s. More into modern day. The 2003 census claimed Johnstown to be the least likely city to bring newcomers in the United States. And that's from Wikipedia, so might want to take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, take it with you want, but me living here for the past 2-ish years, I can see some things that make it bring people here, but not too much attractions that would bring people here, not too much jobs, not too much opportunity. I mean, small businesses are barely making it here. The ones that do survive, 90% of them fail.
Yeah.
The food here can be hit or miss. It's not the greatest food.
You just haven't tried enough places then.
I've tried enough pizza places. No, the pizza's mid. I've tried enough Asian
There's a lot of pizza competition around here.
I've tried enough Asian cuisines to know that there's like 2 places there.
There's also a lot of Asian cuisine.
There's a lot of Asian cuisines. It just don't hit the same like it did in the great city of Philadelphia. But, I mean, what do you think? I mean, me coming here, me being a person that moved here from other areas of this great country of America, I just, like I said, I don't know. There's just not much variety. There's not much jobs. You have one little news station, which apparently aren't the best at the hiring process. No offense, WJAC. There's still an old type of mentality. I remember you interviewed somewhere and the chick said no tattoos, no piercings. I mean, no tattoos on the face is fine, I understand that, but no piercings, no crazy hair colors, and it was just just a lot of non-modern type mentality.
Yeah, it's very traditional.
It's a little too traditional.
You think so?
I think so. And a lot of places here aren't even open on Sunday. We try and go places on Sunday all the time, but I remember we tried to go downtown and get something to eat, and there was just nothing open. Even the Hilton Inn or Holiday Inn. Holiday Inn's place was closed. I was like, dang, man. It's just everything closes at 6. Why would people want to go somewhere where everything closes at 6?
I don't know.
The best place for people to go is a bar that's open late and just drinking. I mean, there's just not much attraction here, in my opinion. Like, we haven't gone, when we have gone out and done stuff, we had to leave Johnstown to go do stuff. I mean, there's great hiking and biking and nature trails, but you can only do that in the summer and the spring when it's nice.
So before we dive too deep into it, what do you think keeps people in Johnstown?
The cheap wages of live.
So why would people want to come here? Just because it's cheaper to live?
That's why we chose to come here.
Is there anything else?
We missed Pennsylvania, and this is the cheapest area to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much plain and simple.
Makes sense.
But we've slowly learned that it's also not the greatest paying area.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. But it's not the worst, surprisingly.
I don't know, in 2017, it said that it was the third fastest shrinking city in the United States.
Is this a city?
Is it a town?
Is it a village?
We should talk about that in a later episode.
What is a town compared to a city? I wonder.
On a more positive note, in 2018, Johnstown was ranked 169th among the best small places for businesses and careers. And that was by Forbes.
In the U.S.?
In the whole U.S. I don't think that's too bad.
That's not too bad. The whole U.S., okay. That's pretty good. It's like
we didn't make top 100, but we made top 200.
We got 69, and that's always nice.
Gosh.
But yes, top 200 is definitely a pro for small places and business career for all of the U.S. I mean, there was like millions, right? Something. No, I mean, maybe not millions, but that is more of a positive. If that was just Pennsylvania, I'd be like, are you sure that's a positive? But
not exactly.
For all the U.S., it's definitely a very big positive.
It's climbing back up there. There's definitely more businesses growing in this area. Downtown, it's kind of at the Galleria.
It's just slowly getting there. It's a slugfest. It's a tortoise right now. We need to be a zebra. Not even, maybe they'll take the bunny. The bunny gets distracted. All right.
So what else? So what else do you think would help improve the morale and the business and the city living, I guess, of Johnstown?
What could help? Maybe they could do more events. I mean, they got a lot of people to do the coffee run thing, which we'll get into a little bit later episode, where the coffee places around Johnstown City got together and did a little promotional thing. I mean, that gets people to come out, that gets people to visit them, maybe do more promotional stuff, collaborations like that.
No, I agree. Most of the things I find to do in this town are just from Facebook, like different Facebook events and fundraisers.
Definitely better promotion than Facebook.
What else would you use?
Anything. Social media, newspapers.
Facebook is social media.
Facebook is social media, but people like me don't, I mean, maybe Johnstown, but...
That's the thing. It's kind of an older population, and the thing with Facebook that Facebook does have over other social medias is there is an events tab. Mm-hmm. So for the younger people that use TikTok and things like that, you can't go search TikTok for like events in your area. At least not that I know of.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe, I don't know, put flyers around. I mean, we saw banners for stuff and would be curious. For people around my age, I mean, I'm older than you actually, but we use Google, we search things. I don't really think of Facebook to like events around the area. I mean,
well, that's just you.
Then again, yeah, I'm not the most tech savvy person. I'm just like, and there's gotta be somewhat of a better way to maybe like, have you had like radio promotions for any of these things? I mean, I know nobody listens to the radio, but like,
not necessarily, not recently.
Yeah, I always hear about, you know what.
No free advertisements.
No free advertising.
We need a sponsor first. But we have one particular ad on the radio that's our favorite, and if you can guess what it is.
Has a lot of fake accents.
Yeah.
And got to do with dimes, but don't worry about it.
It may or may
'cause-
not be one specific car
'cause
dealership.
If we don't get this sponsorship, it'll be a crime.
It would be a crime. So before we end, do we have anything else?
I got some fun facts.
So fun facts. We want to end. We want to end with some fun facts
Some
about
positive facts.
some
fun
positive fun facts
We
before
got-
we leave you. Before we end this
So it's
episode.
very negative.
It hasn't been great so far, but we have good things coming.
Johnstown is a good city.
Its history
Getting there.
questionable.
History is very questionable, but there's a lot. There's a lot of questionable histories in the U.S. history.
That's true.
But also a lot of other countries too. U.S. is great. So we have a part of the Twin Tower structure beam here in Johnstown. I don't exactly know where.
You should find out.
I should find out, and I will get back to you guys on that in a later episode. Babe Ruth played at Point Stadium, which is now Sargent Stadium, but he did play there for the Murder Row Yankees. So that's supposedly the greatest baseball player of all time. Not for me, because I don't really agree with the era that he played in, but to a lot of other people, he's the greatest baseball player of all time. And people here in Johnstown invented something called gobs, which is a very delicious, fluffy cake sandwich with the name that's not so delicious, but does not do it justice.
What's wrong with that? What do you call them in Philly, Nicholas?
Whoopie pies. Whoopie pies.
Gobs or whoopie pies? Vote in the comments.
Come on, what tastes? Get your mind out the gutter. What sounds better? Hey, yo, let me get that whoopie pie or let me get that gob?
Gob.
Gob does not sound.
Gob fest, anybody?
Gob fest? We'll get into that later. Gobs just sound like a Thanksgiving thing to me. I don't know. I'm not saying.
Maybe we should make it a thing. Thanksgiving gobs.
Thanksgiving gobs. It's the pumpkin. The pumpkin Thanksgiving gobs.
I make some great pumpkin gobs.
She's a great baker. I am very spoiled.
Self-promotion.
Tell us what interesting facts or maybe even dark history facts about your town that you're from, where you are listening at, or maybe town near you. Tell us a lot of things. We love learning about different towns in the United States of America. We don't know all the towns. I couldn't name you 3 in Pennsylvania.
You couldn't name 3 towns in Pennsylvania?
I can name, what are we talking about? Towns or cities?
Towns or cities?
Towns or cities.
We'll have to talk about that in a later episode.
We'll have to talk about that in a later episode.
If you're from Johnstown and we missed anything history-wise, or you have your own fun facts that you'd love to share, please let us know.
Also, we do know about the flood. We just chose not to cover it because it's been so covered before. We want to do interesting, different facts that maybe some of you guys did not know about Johnstown. Obviously, you should know most of you know about the history of Johnstown, but there are people out there listening to this that don't know about that Johnstown existed and didn't know the history. Also, we threw in some things about the history that aren't well known. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know about your own version of your Johnstown, your small town. Tell us interesting facts, maybe some dark historical facts, and we'll love to either mention it on a future episode or get into more detail about it. We love learning, especially about smaller towns.
And if you want to be featured, you have something you want to talk about Johnstown, you got something that you want to promote, please let us know.
Also, if you're that car dealership that wants to sponsor us,
we will take sponsorships.
We will take sponsorships. She needs a car.
Thank you for tuning in.
Come back and listen to us again. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jenny.
Like,
follow,
comment,
share,
subscribe. This is Small Town Johnstown.